those budget statements, budget, whatever, we are also analyzing how our implementation of some of these policies, how have they integrated issues of also including and providing opportunities for women and men to also leverage on those opportunities. So greater engagement with the issue of gender, labor, and climate change is critical for addressing existing and emerging inequalities and vulnerabilities. The ILO adopted the Just Transition Framework and issued its guidelines for a just transition in 2015, which provides a set of practical tools for government and social partners to navigate change. So I would encourage all of us who are really championing towards this whole just transition to also get to read some of these important resource materials, because those are the ones that we are that are going to be able to also help us in terms of influencing the policy reforms that we want from a socially and just perspective. So the renewable energy offers a range of unprecedented opportunities with public policy support. Women can also garner a growing share of expanding employment in this very young and dynamic sector. Some of these business opportunity is within the small and medium enterprises, the SMEs that are going to be key in providing green goods and services. So what is critical is to understand what is the enabling regulatory environment or framework that supports business, particularly those that SMEs where also women and men are really active in terms of promoting green innovation. Currently, women entrepreneurs are disproportionately represented in small and medium enterprises. I think that's another area that also I would encourage to also understand more about, where we're looking about issues of access to credit. So if there are going to be, for example, there are tenders that are going to be provided in providing renewable energy, it's not only the weakness of Chivayos who have, financing from big whips that are going to get tenders. Because if I am Veronica, I'm just Veronica. Where am I going to get the collateral and the finance that's going to help me to kickstart, work towards the provision of goods and services? So those are the key elements that we also need to look in terms of financing of those essential, enterprises that are going to be key in terms of providing, and also flagging out to SMEs that this is a theft that is going to be a very big in terms of economic growth. So those are things that we should also be championing. A very important aspect that's going to be key in terms of addressing issues of gender and climate change in the just transition is the issues of skills development for all. We cannot say women should be given a stake without having the requisite skills and training, capacity, skills and expertise to be able to provide the essential goods and services that are going to be key towards this growing industry. And I think it is critical to assess the skill sets that are there within, for example, within our tertiary institutions. How many women and how many young men and women are there that are going to be able to tap into these opportunities? I think for now, it would be, I was laughing and saying, has the NGO sector really become like the dream employer? And for me, I don't see how development work. In the sense, I'm not anti-development. I work in development. But for me, I get worried whereby you find that when you get into tertiary institutions, even I'm sure those that are at the National University of Science and Technology and the Chinhoyi University of Technology, if you ask them what their 5-year plans in terms of careers, they'll tell you, I know Hope there is a surveyor. That's one thing you didn't know about him. But you'll be surprised that even engineers want to come to the NGO world and ask them to do what? Mathematicians to do what? So I think this is something that we need to, and I think for organizations like Advocates for Aid that work with young people, I think these are the career career guidance and advice that you can give to our young leaders and young workforce, that there's a wide array of opportunities that is going to come from these whole issues of the just transition, whereby we need to build the requisite skills and training for both men and young women, young girls, young men, in terms of tapping into those opportunities. So you see, you know, if there's one thing that I might have my faults on Jonathan Moyo, but the issue of STEM for me, I think, was a very good initiative, and I think that's one of the key programs or policy. Interventions we should be calling on our governments to really to encourage young girls and young men to be able to tap into the opportunities that will come from this, and investing into the STEM world. And already we have low participation of women, but encouraging. I know men will say, for example, how come I had 15 points and I got into medicine, but we have I got into engineering, but I've got a lady who's got 11 points. But I mean, it's about also trying to also uplift women to be able, as long as you can finish the 5-year Mbichimbi program, whether when one is 11 points or 15 points, I think that's what's important, as long as they are able to come out and be able to gain the requisite skills for them to be able to survive. And some of the core skills that are going to be necessary beyond just the technical, I talked about the leaders. They're going to be leaders, environmental, awareness, initiative, entrepreneurial skills, marketing skills that are going to for those. So there is almost an opportunity for each and every one of us if we really look deeply into this whole green economy. And what will it need is that there is need for diversity and educational skills and background for both men and women. Clean energy project developers may also need to fully be aware of the effects that come out from integrating the development challenges. I work in the mining sector. I know a lot of development projects have got negative impacts that come in their pursuit of promoting national development. For example, you find that there are a lot of displacements that can come by. There can also be issues of unfair and adequate compensation and issues of employment creation. So as we talk about these new projects that are going to come in, where do we locate the issues of promoting sustainable livelihoods for the women and men that are also going to be in these projects where you're located? You can't talk about a Gwanda solar project when you walk 2 or 3 kilometers away. There is no power for the nearby hospital. There is no power. So those are the things that when we talk about sustainable development and promoting gender responsive development, those are the things that we also need to look at the consequences of some of these projects that are going to come out from the just transition. And it is only when the impacts of a clean energy project are assessed from a gender lens that it can be truly justified that the project has benefited both males and females. In conclusion, some of the policy options that I would want to flag out are that there need to be social consensus on the goal and pathways to a sustainability trajectory of the just transition for us as a country. And I think this will entail having different stakeholders coming together, share in from the labor, from the academia, from the civil society, from industry to locate a policy or to develop a policy that's going to be beneficial and that is strategic and looks at the opportunities and tries to make sure that the challenges or the negatives that are going to come out, they are also done in a way that enhances issues of social protection for those that are going to be disenfranchised. The policy framework also should promote the creation of more decent jobs and issues of promoting gender equality in those policies. For example, maybe establishing a gender quota, a quota system for women in renewable energy sectors, or even engaging women as active agents in deploying off-grid renewable energy solutions. It is also critical and crucial to build the skills and capacities of female workers and to ensure an inclusive work environment. The new modalities of financing should be promoted to create the environment for distributed energy, ensure women and men's full participation in terms of the opportunities that are going to come about. There's also need to develop gender-sensitive procurement policies in the clean energy projects. For example, the tenders that are going to be there, for example, in state institutions, how are we going to ensure that we also provide opportunities where we have those small and medium entrepreneurs can be able to also be able to provide services to those that are doing projects on clean energy. I think we should also take lessons from ECOWAS, I think they've developed various frameworks that promote the participation of women and men in the expansion of energy access, and those could be also important entry and learning points for us as a country as we try to come up with a gender-sensitive and mainstreaming gender within the just transition and climate change discourse from this whole narrative. I think in detail, that brings me to the end of my presentation.
Thank you so much, Veronica. Let's give another big round of applause. We are going to give you guys a few minutes to make contributions and ask questions. Then we can go for our lunch break.
Yes, two at the back and then two, yeah. We can start with the ones in the back as we come this side.